What's going on, my brother? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mr. Hero.
I can hear you. How's it going today?
Oh, okay. All right. How about you?
Good. All good.
Okay, cool. We'll get started in this moment. I'll just making sure that we was connected.
Good.
Take your time. All right. All right, we can see. Good to go. I'll turn my camera on in a minute. Gotta give you a proper introduction before I can get started. So get your mind, your spirit, your soul right if you need to. Take a moment. I promise you it won't be like the SAT. You know, we're gonna be easy on you, you know?
All right. Sound good. Got my T right, so I think I'll be good.
That's right. All right, cool. Let's get started in 1 second and pull all this stuff up. Okay. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I appreciate y'all tapping in, linking in with us, and connecting as we build this bridge from ignorance to wisdom that cultivates, wisdom to knowledge that cultivates into wisdom. And, you know, all my people out there that are seekers, that are travelers, that are sovereign, that don't even know what sovereignty means and don't know how to start your own university. Because a lot of times in history, you know, we have went through others' educational system and really is really being trained on how to think really in their perspective, in their world. We need real, true education out here. You know, we need to understand who we are from the very essence of ourselves. As our ancestors said, man and woman, know thyself. And that's not just a movie quote, by the way. I know a lot of people getting that from the Matrix and they think the so-called Greeks came up with that. But it's a little bit deeper than that. You know, you're going to study them Greeks. You got to study the Phoenicians and the Minoans, which are Black people. And in time in history, they tell you some aliens built something, but they don't know. They trying to exclude the Black man and Black woman out of the story. And for those who are Moors who don't like the word Black, that they find it erupts their soul a little differently, we'll say melanated people, all the copper-colored people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? But I want to tell you something, man. New rules mean a new kind of school. St. Louis' own sovereign university homeschool co-op. This young man has founded it. And a wonderful city, St. Louis. Can't get no better than that. He's in the heart of the melanated people. And we need this now, y'all. Don't be tripping out here. Listen closely. He focuses on providing independent education solutions for families. It ain't just the children, because the children can also teach the elders and vice versa. You're always a student, y'all. Never forget that. Sovereign University offers educational counseling, private academic advising, and academic and career planning. As an educator, artist, and entrepreneur with over 14 years experience in higher education. Hey, this brother got a super cool name too. You know what I'm saying? I think Marvel, y'all need to tap in with this brother. Y'all making all these Black superheroes right now, but I want y'all to hear this brother's name. Goes by the name of Dr. S. Harrell. Wow, y'all got Professor X. Y'all got Reed Richards from Fantastic Four. Why can't we get a Dr. S. Harrell? We need that. Them little Black babies out there, little Black and brown babies out there need to see that. So I'd like for y'all to put your hands together for my homie, my friend, who's tapped in, linked in with us this afternoon. I'm just going to refer to him as Hero. Mr. Hero on the line.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Pleasure to be speaking with you today.
What's going on, my good brother? How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Like I said, good to be looking forward to speaking with you today. And, you know, got some good things in store as far as education goes. I'm excited to be here to talk about it with you.
Hey, I'm cool to have you on the line. You know, gonna build this empire right now, starting at this very moment, or the continuation of the empire that was already started before we got here, which is greatness. You know what I'm saying? We find our greatness all over the world, above the world, inside the world, in the water, in the ground, every nation, every country, everything. You can't go nowhere without finding the true original Harus that the word changed to heroes. And I find it's amazing that you're carrying upon that lineage. So I definitely see you shining out here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you hit on a lot of points that's really intricate and kind of like my purpose and plan and ideas and kind of whole structure as far as um, making independent, helping us as parents and as a people to adopt the idea of independent education. Like you say, our greatness spans space and time, and we we should have the confidence in ourselves that starts with that, knowledge of self to know that, hey, we can educate our children just as well as anyone else can. And we have all the answers, within us or around the world, we can find it. Definitely.
No, you're right. Let's keep it real. During the so-called slavery in America,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, let me say the melanated slavery, because people try to lop all that together.
All
Yes,
right.
other cultures did have indentured servants or a form of slavery, but we had the worst,
Right.
as always. So let's
Yeah.
not try to put those together. There's a
Right.
difference between, real food and GMO.
Right. Right. Right.
Y'all trying to give us the GMO and mix it with the real food. No, 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 no. We're going to back this on up. And we're going to get into a little bit of your history. You know what I'm saying? Since we got a hero on the line, Dr. Hero. I'm going to call you Dr. Hero because you're a
All right.
superhero to me. Dr.
Yeah.
Hero, just like any good comic book movie, take me back to the early pages. Where are you from originally? How your life went about when you were younger that set you on this blazing path that you're on now?
Okay. So, yes, I am Dr. S. Hero Harrell, independent educator, artist, and entrepreneur, born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. And as far as education goes, sometimes once I was an adult, I kind of realized that I have been an educator all my life. And it's really kind of two stories that stand out, as the most glaring examples of that. One is a memory I have of having my grandmother, my mom, my family, granddad, aunts and uncles in the living room. And, I was the center of attention being the school teacher. And so we're in the living room, playing out school, and I'm the teacher and they all of the students. And I got, one uncle giving me a hard time. That's the bad kid. I have, grandmother over here that's, the smart one and everything like that. And that memory really just always resonated with me. And I think even back then they kind of saw, my potential as an educator or a leader or someone who can galvanize people as far as thinking goes. Even just that kind of small, silly example of me being a child playing in the living room. They saw something in it and they definitely nurtured it. And another experience I have is one of my close homeboys. We, grew up together, second, third, fourth, sixth, seventh grade, hung out real tough. And as we got older, we kind of grew apart. But as life moves in seasons, once we got adults, we got back in touch and, pretty much picked up right where we were on our friendship. And he always credits me with teaching him multiplication and how to remember the timetables in second grade. And so all of this time that we hadn't seen each other, that was a memory that really stuck with him. And, he said it plenty of times since then, like he credits me with, helping him break that down and understand the multiplication. So those two examples, I would say, probably are the best for me to kind of track my, growth and where it kind of started from as far as education, being a part of who I am and, what I do. And it pretty much has just only continued into my adulthood after I had children, began to definitely like every moment with them as a teaching experience, but also started doing adjunct instructing at some local colleges and universities here in St. Louis. And, pretty much saw a lot of the things in higher education, some good, some bad. Kind of saw some places where I feel like our community wasn't best being served. And so, I feel like since I had that observation, it was really up to me to, kind of do something about it. And that's where Sovereign University started, which is the homeschooling cooperative where I work with other families and we combine our efforts and resources to educate our families, and it's really that simple. every parent or family brings something to the mix. And so whatever, subject matter that someone in the family is expert in, whatever talents they have, whatever businesses they have, all of those are incorporated with the cooperative, and we use all of those tools and resources to educate our families and educate our children.
I like that. I appreciate that sharing. Man, you gave me a lot to unpack, man. It's like Thanksgiving, so we will have to sit down and bring out some to-go trays. You know how we do. You know what I'm saying? Get to-go trays. What to-go tray? I want to throw a little something onto my plate that you said off of the dinner, the meal that you gave. You spoke about cultivating a person's development to becoming who they are. Do you think a lot of us, when we have these dreams, especially when you come from like the hood or lower income areas, you always get this negative energy of like, I mean, it's probably not as prevalent now, but I'm still sure it's prevalent in other places where you got little black kids saying like, I want to be an astronaut. And the parents is like, no, you go get a job, or I want to be a business owner. No, you go get a job and you go to work. You don't want to do those things. How important is it for us as melanated people on the planet to not only also cultivate the knowledge, but tell them you got to have a sustainable living if possible, because some of us don't come from that money where we can go live with someone else. But how important is it for us to give us a real true duality or multiple duplicity in life? Like you can do many things if you live in some type of harmonious balance within all those things.
Yes, definitely. I think that it is vital for the survival of melanated people that, we are introduced to the broad array, of, directions that life offers us that we can go down and learn and ultimately improve ourselves and raise ourselves up to being our higher selves. And I think a lot of that, it definitely starts with confidence in ourselves, in each other, in our community. But it definitely also has a lot to do with exposure. You know what I'm saying? We need more melanated astronauts coming to the Boys and Girls Club in the city and saying, I started here like you, and it's not a huge number of them, but just educating about the ones, that do exist. And so I think exposure, and then really just having that confidence and that belief that, I can do things that I've never seen anyone else do, and that's kind of like I think sometimes a mental blockage that we might have, that we feel that we can only achieve things that we can see. And, to that point, I think that our children need to see it all. They need to see the wide variety of, not just professions and career choices, but life choices and ways of thinking and ways of developing society and, carrying on and those type of things. And it's very important. I mean, really, that's a big part of why we founded Sovereign. Because I feel like we can't necessarily rely on the dominant society to educate our children in the safe and loving manner that they deserve to be. We see all type of videos of cops in school slamming girls on the pavement or in the classroom. We know about the brother Kendrick Johnson, who was found rolled up in a tumbling mat at his school, and then come to find out his organs was gone, once the family did their own independent autopsy and just things like that. And so I feel like, it's not only that traditional school systems, or aren't serving our children in the best way where they're getting that exposure. And, they have teachers and instructors that look like them who can really understand their plight. It's also that it's actually unsafe, in some of these environments for melanated children. And so things like, taking the education of our family into our own hands, I would say is vital for our survival. It's of the top importance,
Hey, I agree with everything you just said. Me being a melanated Black man living in North America, I know exactly what you're talking about. Not seeing somebody that's reflective of me, it does do something. I mean, you could still be successful, but it does something to you. Just like when you read these comic books and you look at these movies and these books and you read all about history, even though they're going to give us a month, which is our month is every day, it does something to it, programs you to be docile. And I'm not saying that to go be, be a rebel and tear everything up, because that's sometimes not going to be the way for you too. But however, you could be a rebel within yourself. You can reject, you can hear, take it in, understand it, and move it to the side and get back to, like you're saying, who you are. What's your greatness? Start with your household first. What did people do just 2-3 generations before you got here? You will be very surprised. Right after Reconstruction, we had all the jobs because we was doing them. We knew how to do everything from, like you said, we had our own books. We had our own manufacturing processing centers. We were our own chefs. Who was cooking all the food? It was us. But we got beat out of that still, even when like they created stuff like these domestic terrorist groups, like, the KKK and all these other groups where they went and covered up their faces and instilled that fear that you're talking about into people that made them and kept them away from the knowledge, even though you couldn't read while I say you was a prisoner. I don't use the word slavery, but for those that use the word slavery, I'm referring to being a prisoner. When someone captures you, I don't care what continent you're from, because we all didn't come from Africa. That's a lot too. But when they captured us, they stole our everything and reversed it around after so many generations, because like you said, we lost the knowledge of self and we started believing their lies, like saying we all come from Africa. No, this is our land. We are sovereign. We are indigenous to this land here too in North America. So with that being said, what is sovereignty to you? Because you see all these videos and people coming up with all this knowledge, and now the FBI is starting to associate when someone says sovereignty with some type of domestic terrorism. Break down for people that don't know, what is sovereignty and being sovereign?
All right, well, here at Sovereign University, we say that sovereignty begins with freedom of thought. If you look up like I don't think it's Black's Laws, but maybe Webster's Dictionary, it's like supreme or absolute rule or authority. And so we create the reality in the universe that we want for ourselves by remaining sovereign in our thoughts. And so the university that's sovereign is the university between our ears, our mind. That's our university that we work to keep sovereign. So to me, it's much more, it's not any paperwork that you can get from any government. It's not any specific type of ID that you can have to say that you're sovereign. You say you're sovereign and you live it and you're sovereign. You say, I'm rejecting these type of thoughts or these type of actions. I'm not going to give my time and attention to this. And, just as hard as I may concentrate on partying and having fun, I'm going to put that attention into something that's going to, invest in myself or my family. So I'm putting that time and effort into my children or into my business or into my partnership, so things like that. And yes, going back to another thing that you said, with sovereignty comes with changing the narratives and defining our own narratives. So just like how you say, I'm not even using that word slavery, I'm talking about imprisonment, so we, define our narrative by not using the term transatlantic slave trade, because that was the transatlantic human trafficking trade. And see, once you start talking human trafficking in 2021, people know what we're talking about. And so, what I'm saying, because human trafficking, we all know what's going on with, human trafficking. We're familiar with it. Now, I say we all know. I feel like a lot of us still, might choose to turn a blind eye because of, distractions or feeling like, oh, well, me and my family's safe. So, that doesn't concern me. But, a threat to injustice anywhere, is injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So even if it's not your family or, any of the young ladies that's going missing, if they not in your families, not your nieces and cousins, it very well could be, you know. And what we have to understand is that, you know, it's power in numbers. So while that might not necessarily be my niece, you know, that's someone who can be doing the work of nation building and building up the community, and, you know, someone that we that can, you know, have a sovereign mind of their own to help, you know, raise first themselves up, but our community as a whole. So I really don't, you know, get into like that tribalist mindset of thinking, well, you know, me and my family is fine. So, you know, we have to kind of approach this as a, a group or a community thinking. Now, with that said, you know, I'm really focused on working with the people who get it. You know, I don't necessarily spend a lot of time trying to get people to see my point of view or change minds, but the people who are already here, like, I'm ready to put in that work. I'm ready to, you know, invest time, resources, money, you know, effort, whatever, to do the work. I don't do a lot of talking or preaching at all. You know, I'm about that action. And, you know, the homeschooling cooperative is just our most recent showing of, you know, putting those thoughts into action. And so sovereignty begins with freedom of thought.
I like that. Thank you for ending. Thank you for ending that wonderful analogy and narrative in the way that you said it. Because you're right. Instead of, like they say, be the change that you want to see in the world. I think oftentimes, including myself, many of us, we look at things and we go, "Well, why nobody's not doing something about it?" It's
Mm-hmm.
probably because you're the one that's supposed to do something about it. If it's
Yes,
bothering
sir.
you that much.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
that's what I'm picking up from you. So when you got ready to create, the Sovereign University, what are some steps that you take? Because I know a lot of times some people may want to do something similar or completely different. How did you make it up? How did you make up your mind to say these are the things I'm about to do so I can start this university?
Okay, well, we were in a rush to start because of the pandemic, but we were prepared. So to
Mm,
take it back a little bit, what really set this foundation within me to, you know, focus on education, independent education. When Mike Brown got shot in Ferguson here, you know,
mm,
I went down to the protest. I was on West Florissant. There's a lot of people down there. I'm talking, having a lot of conversations. And what I kept hearing was organize. We need to go and organize. We need to organize. We need to organize. And I kept hearing that. And so I did end up kind of finding some people within that, you know, I began to organize with and do things with, and, you know, share info. And so I kind of came and brought it back to myself and said, okay, if I'm organizing, what do I have to offer? You know, what are my talent, skills, and abilities that I can organize and use to uplift the community? And it came to education. And so really, you know, kind of the end of, you know, 2015, the idea for Sovereign University was born. I was kind of thinking, because I was, you know, I was working full time at a college here, and I was thinking that this wouldn't necessarily be something that I would be able to get running until maybe 2023, 2024, you know, really. But the pandemic created the perfect storm of chaos to where it was like, no, it's time to do this now, because I kept having conversations with families who were, you know, not really knowing about virtual learning, didn't feel like it was working well for their children, or once their children started virtual learning, they began to see how much time was being wasted in school, you know, how much their children actually weren't learning because they was at home, you know, with them. And so I began to have more and more of these conversations. And this was really just in the summer of 22. This was, you know, kind of July time. And, you know, with that, August, the next month, is when school starts, you know. So myself and the families that, you know, I work with now, we all decided, you know, in August, that we weren't going to send our children back to the schools that they went to, and we were going, you know, take it into our hand. Now, I said I had had this calling since 2015. So since then, I'm building curriculum, I'm designing classes, I'm putting together presentations. so that when this time came, I was prepared. I wasn't expecting to do it this soon, but when we had to roll it out, in September of 2020, I had been working on it for the past 5 years strong. So we had a good foundation, to kind of jump off and take this journey. And it's been great. I mean, the students all respond well to it, or our scholars, as we call them, our parents and our families. We're hearing people like, oh, yeah, this first time my child came home and had anything to say about what they did at school. Usually, because it's like this parenting moment where your child get in the car and is like, what you do at school today? Nothing. Or what you learn? We did this, did that. But they don't really give you any concrete ideas or response for what was tangible that they did or what they learned. And so we are very specific with creating experiences, because also with being an entrepreneur in education, I'm also an entrepreneur in fashion. And for the past 10 years, a lot of fashion and retail has been moving more online. And with the pandemic, I mean, I haven't looked at any numbers, but I'm sure that it's, increased dramatically. And since then, I've always thought that the way to best resonate with clients is to create experiences. Clients are any people that you serving or doing business for. It's about creating an experience. And so, I really kind of revamped all of the curriculum to be experience-based and project-based and group work and independent time. And it's not, if we're going to talk about the solar system, we're going to talk about the solar system. We're going to look at some pictures. We're going to draw out some constellations. We're going to, do some mapping so that we can get a visual representation of how far one planet is from another. And we're going to go and look at the full moon, and that's, all of those things happen within 1 week of our topic of the solar system. And so every week is a new topic, and, it's, we cram it with, discussions, activities, and experiences, and whatever that looks like on a week-to-week basis. But I'm very big on creating memorable experiences, for the populations that I serve, and then marketing, because everything that, we're introduced to or that we have anything to do with in the world is marketed to us. Our clothes, the way we speak, the food we eat, everything is marketed to us. The way we think, what I'm saying? You think about media controlling a narrative and not necessarily telling you what to think, but what to think about, and so I feel that this independent education has to be marketed. Smart people need to be made to look cool. Smart people need to be cool. Being cool is smart, because that once that smartness translates into creating a reality and the type of life you want, ain't nothing cooler than that. You know what I'm saying? So that's really where we are with marketing, education, and creating experiences.
You're right. I like that too. I like what you said. That's very super cool. I don't, what I'm saying, this is just me. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna ask you this question. I don't want it to come across negative towards someone else, but I'm gonna just say it because I just gotta be me. I really respect somebody like Dr. Umar Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I think that he's a brilliant brother. I think that he has the potential to do all the great things that you're doing too as well. But I'm just trying to figure out how you can start a school and where is his school at that he wanted to start? Because I said to myself too, I mean, you don't have to answer if you want to. This is me talking.
No, but I would like to speak on that because a lot of people actually ask me that. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. You already know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. And while I agree. I have learned, more so in the past and present, but I've learned a lot from Dr. Umar. And when I was kind of coming into this calling of my own, that's actually the time where I came across some of his videos. And so I'm like, oh, this brother's talking all about the same stuff I'm thinking. And, I'm just as excited as everyone else to see the school. Now, as far as, I know there's been like charges of fraud and all of that. I don't really have a dog in that race. I don't have any idea. But what I do know is that I don't necessarily think it's a benefit to waiting to take action because we're trying to get it to scale or trying to get it to be so grand, or, trying to do these grandiose, wide reaching things directly out the gate. I'm like, okay, I know 5 families who believe in me and who ready to do this and want to pool our money and resources and time together. Let's do it. And so that's really more where I am. I've done the research as far as independent education and experiential learning. I've worked with community groups, so I understand, kind of the needs of our people. And like, I just I don't feel like we have time to wait to, kind of have this, huge. And I mean, the things that he said as far as that he wanted for his school, I think they commendable. I would still love to see it. I just know for me personally, I can't wait on that. I can't wait on, and I mean, especially like with, and I feel like if, I mean, because he raised some funds, and I mean, when you get that much money, people expect to see something, something. And here, we kind of started this, just with the money that we all agreed that we were going to put into it, and, making a self-perpetuating system. So, I would still like to see it done, but me personally, I see the issues within our community are too urgent for me to not, work with what's in my hand and the people that I have in my corner now.
I respect all that. That's real, and I feel the same way. I would love to see it manifest too, because we need multiple schools. We need for you all to connect and align, and just like they do with these big universities, you got, they becoming like a corporation almost. They, these University of Phoenixes and these Capellas and Strayers and
definitely corporations. Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and they're, they not even serving they people, so they not serving our people, because that's just the debt machine. And so now what I'm kind of thinking is, because I mean, right now we focus a lot on like kind of knowledge of self and the mindset, but thinking more about, career training and thinking about how you want to spend your life. Like, it's so many rewarding and profitable, because that's what we in this for. That's what we look to work to, make money to be able to provide for ourselves. There are a lot of professions and industries that are wide open, and not enough applicants that don't require anybody to get 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 of debt, to pay for a receipt that may or may not, get you a job to where you can make, as much debt as you accrued in 2 years, let alone one. So, yeah, the corporatization of education, it was also something that kind of encouraged me, because I'm seeing people that's, accruing all of this debt, for a diploma or an associate's degree that's, at the end of the day, still may not necessarily garner the type of respect that they would want from an employer, or more importantly, prepare them to do the job that they say, they're qualified to do. So yeah, I'm this independent and taking, taking matters into our own hands is really, kind of my calling, and what I'm looking to work with other families in my area, but also any families across, the country, the nation, or international that, you know, is embracing and understanding the urgency and the importance of making the education of our children and our families a top priority, in the same way that we focus on our careers and focus on our relationships. I mean, we need to be focusing on our children and our families' education, because it's not just children. It's a lot of adults that, after 10 or 20 years working in the industry, decide to go back to school, or, want to do something to increase their value. Because that's really, one of the large purposes of education, help you increase your value and, attain your highest self. So it's definitely not just a thing or ideal or mindset for children. I'm heavy on the families, that family unit, that family structure.
So that's a great response. I appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense too. I think something is wrong with society when people get older, they become discarded or they're no longer useful to certain people. When that's when you become the greatest part of yourself. Hopefully, as you
Definitely.
age and learn and experience, like it's an African proverb. It says, "I'm gonna say for man and woman," but it says if a man or woman and woman, excuse me, when they die, it's like a library or a museum burning to the ground, and it's very true. I think that's part of the psyops or the COINTELPRO that the certain aspects of the government use to separate the black household. A lot of times we talk about like welfare, and a lot of people say farewell to your welfare, to your well care. That's what
Right.
welfare really means. And in a sense, it kind of does because you remove the man out of the house, and now you just have the woman with the children. Well, when she goes to work, who's going to take care of the children? Or how are the children going to get to daycare in these different places when she has to go to work at the same time? So you remove this third party person out, whether they can, they may not be able to take care of their children.
Right.
Everybody's not a deadbeat. Some people may have hustled, it's fast money. They got caught. Now you can't find a job. Or if you can find a job, I know people within my family, they are working at McDonald's, making minimum wage, working like 8 hours a week. How are you going to live off of that? Yes,
Right.
you make some mistakes, but at what point do you really get forgiven and rehabilitated?
Right.
You carry this label with you forever. And also, I would like to say this before I ask my question too, as well.
Mhm.
You brought up some very good points about co-oping and educating. I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. It's fundamentally great.
Appreciate it.
When you talk about co-oping, what does that mean to a person that doesn't know, that's looking from the outside, that never heard these words used in that terminology or in that way? When you say co-op in education, can you break that down for the people that may not understand?
Definitely. And I mean, the simplest way to explain it is you hear co-op, and in that word you hear, or in that set of words, you hear cooperation. And so with the educational co-op, it's the cooperation and the synergy created by the efforts of all the parents. So, okay, I am, the lead organizer, and, I set the educational and creative direction for Sovereign University, and the scholars spend the most time with me throughout the week. But I have one of the parents of one of our scholars is fluent in speaking French. And
Mm.
so she teaches French to our scholars 3 days a week. You know what I mean? And then I have another parent that's a part of the co-op who is a fitness instructor and personal trainer. And so she does physical education with the scholars 3 times a week. And so, why my background is in education, business, and entrepreneurship, we're able to create a very well-rounded, curriculum and program where we have kindergartners speaking French, we have middle schoolers working on their business ideas, we have, fourth graders um, learning and, doing animation and things like that. Our athletes, the personal trainer and the physical education, what she brings to the co-op is definitely, pouring into all of these scholars based on their particular interests, talents, and abilities. So it's just a cooperation of, different efforts. And then even taking that further, the cooperative can be, so we're a school. And so we may, link up with someone who has a grocery store, say, and someone who has a bank. Okay. And we have 3 businesses: a school, a bank, and a grocery store. So the employees and their children of the bank and the grocery store can all come to Sovereign. You know what I'm saying? The families from Sovereign, we would all do our grocery shopping at this store and I banking at this bank. And then, you know, kind of the same for the grocery store. Their business account is with the bank, and you know, their family supports the school too. So it's just that cooperation. And so right now with the parents, with us working together, that's kind of a microcosm of the macrocosm in which we'll begin to partner and cooperate with other businesses within the community. And that's definitely something that we're looking to do more in 2021. Is just collaborate, spread the good news, and you know, try to link up with as many families that we can who, you know, see this vision, understand the urgency of the call, and you know, are ready to take action.
I like that. That's good. That's some good stuff right there. Now, speaking of co-op and making changes and being adaptable to the society that we're in, how exactly do you educate the young ones? Because I was looking at some of these videos of some of these students, you know, they're sitting on these virtual classes and they're doing the flash mob challenges. They're getting up and twerking, and you know, they're just doing all kind of disruptive things. Children are falling asleep.
Right.
They're learning how to to beat the system. So how does your program work?
And so right now, all of our scholars are in person on site with us. We are opening up to virtual scholars as well. And really, I mean, like that parent engagement and parent cooperation is key, you know, because like this is a, you know, family ran, family owned and operated, you know, venture. And it really is, I would say, the partnership and the, you know, kind of unity between you know, the school, the educational provider, and the parents. And so just like I'm giving examples of how, you know, our parents are so involved and interested and really committed and, you know, full steam ahead into this, I would say a lot of that, you know, falls on the back of parents, but it's a hard, you know, it's a hard call because we have parents locked in their room for 8 hours a day on the computer at work while the children in their room doing the same thing. And so, you know, just with the way it's set up, parents don't have that luxury. And, you know, the fact that I was able to fire my job in 2020 and commit my life to my family and to my vision, you know, and to my community, definitely was a privilege that I would say I was, you know, able to take advantage of. But you know, like I said, I had been working and planning on this for up to 5 years. So, you know, I put in a lot of the groundwork and, you know, really did my due diligence with manifesting this reality that I wanted to see. So it's definitely still some things to be figured out because we were all kind of thrown into virtual learning. And you know, as an educator, I know that it was just as hard on the teachers as it is on the students. And so, you know, I don't even, you know, place the blame one direction. You know, it's definitely a community effort in making it good or bad. So, you know, really what I would say is trying to craft experiences, because a lot of times these, you know, young people on Zoom all day being read to in a monotone voice with people who really don't care, and they just trying to do this to pay off some student loans, and they don't care nothing about your family or your community, anything like that, you know. And so when you in situations like that, it's going to be boring and you're not going to learn. And when they bored and distracted and feeling like, you know, the person on the other side of that is really not for them, then you're going to get some flash mobs and some twerking and some other silly stuff.
Hey, you're absolutely right. You got that when you sitting inside the classroom. You know,
Right.
I don't care what generation you from. Paper airplanes, spitballs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Smoking in the bathroom. You know how it go.
Definitely. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work to be done, you know. But I think it's the privilege and the honor of, you know, parents and leaders within our community. You know, I always hear people say, oh man, I never heard anybody doing anything like this. Or, it's so good. How are you the only person doing this? And I think like I don't know anyone else is doing it. And just based off the sheer numbers, I'm sure I'm not the only person doing it. But this should be a lot more common than it is. But you have to go through that uncomfortable period and decision making of saying, okay, well, I'm ready to fire my job and get my mind right to where I eat what I kill, you know what I mean? So to speak. And that, that conversation, a lot of people might not finish that conversation in their head, because you have a mortgage and you got a big car note and you're comfortable at a job, and with comfort, that it's really like, taking on this journey has afforded me a whole new level of comfort. I move at my own pace. If I have to do something, I'm 5 minutes late, I'm not gonna have to worry about somebody being down my back or giving me a side eye or trying to dock pay or anything like that, because at the end of the day, what I'm saying, for the rest of the time and the hours that I'm here, I'm giving my all, I'm giving 100%. And really, with these 60, 70, $80,000 salaries, you still getting the best of me for a low amount. I feel like, paying people, $70,000 a year to, and I'm saying that being on the high end of where a lot of us are. I'm saying for someone as myself who, I'm saying has gotten a doctorate and been working in the industry for so long, $70,000 a year, you getting me for too cheap. You know what I mean? Because what I'm bringing to this, my ideas, my mindset, my work ethic, it is in my eyes, it's immeasurable, and the potential is limitless. So, I took that leap of faith, and now it's time for me to show, improve, and be the change that I want to see in the world, and that's where we at.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, for the naysayers or the haters, because they're gonna come around too.
Oh,
What
yeah.
what makes Dr. Hero qualified to start this school? What's your educational background? Give us a rundown on that.
All right. So, undergrad, my bachelor's degree is African and African American Studies with a minor in Communication Studies. My master's in Business Management, and my doctorate is in Higher Education Leadership. With that, I bring over 10 years of experience as a artist and entrepreneur. Within fashion, providing customized clothes and marketing, retail, and things like that. So, and those are just my qualifications and my experience. But what my intention is to get people to see whatever experience and whatever education you have, figure out a way to share it. You know what I mean? Because I understand everyone may not be, a doctor of education or had that experience, but people have experience in things. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about hustling, it's some hustlers that you can't tell me they're not qualified to run a Fortune 500 company. You know what I'm saying? Just on the way that they move and model their thinking and things like that. So we all have, talents and skills and abilities. I think it's just really that confidence of saying, um, I may not be the most educated person or the richest person or this or that, but I'm willing to share what I have, and I'm, looking for other people to connect with and to build with. So, um, you know, people are supposed to, um, wonder what makes me qualified, because I'm up here telling you that the key to, happiness is pulling your children out of your traditional school system and doing it yourself. But I think as far as nation building goes, as far as strengthening our community, like it's much deeper than, you know, getting a degree so that you can qualify to sit at a job that you don't like. And, in 10 years, you're going to be trying to think about a different industry. But really, living in the information age, people really only staying in jobs or careers 2 to 5 years now. It's a lot more turnover, and it's a lot more opportunity to, do things and grow and expand. And so, I've just made it, my priority as my life calling to put that information out into the world.
I love that. You know what would be dope too as well? What if
Mhm.
someone says, I want to do both? I want my children to go through your traditional education system so they can build, extended family. When I say extended family, I'm talking about like friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, that type of thing. And we want to do the sovereign university. Are they able to do them both?
Yes, they are. And so the thing about independent education is I'm all about making it customized. No two scholars, no two learners, no two people are the same. We all gonna appeal to different things. We all have different skills and abilities. We have different experiences and mindsets and ways of approaching problems. And so our education need to reflect that. And for some people, that might be the best thing is to kind of have one foot in and one foot out. But I really think that, you know, um, based on, if we get to a point where it's comparison, there may be some things like a greater social reach that a traditional school system has than sovereign. But sovereign is not, you're not gonna have 30 children to one person, and maybe a teacher assistant who's there to just assist and do things like that. We're very close knit, nurturing, um, intimate community. And so we have, a range of student ages, abilities, types, interests, and we find ways to appeal to all of them. And yes, this approach is more expensive and is more time consuming. And yes, it's more work, and it's not as easy as sending your children to another, a babysitter for 7, 8 hours a day. But if we're going to spend our time and money, and effort on anything, I don't understand why it wouldn't be the education, of our family. And, so that definitely customized approach is how we, work to fit with any family's needs, because, every family doesn't have the same needs.
I like what you said. I'm gonna pick it back off of that right there. Dr.
Mhm.
Hero, let's keep it real. Some of us adults didn't get all the foundation and the skills of doing math problems and grammar. What if the parents need help? What if the child is trying to help the parent while the parent trying to help the child go through the thing? What can we do? We got tutors. I mean, how did the tutoring system work? Can we tutor the parents too? Maybe they might learn some and cultivate that.
Yes, definitely. And so we are connected with other organizations that help provide information and things like that. But what I'm gonna say is right now, if there's anyone who doesn't know how to do something, say you don't know how to change a tire. If you don't know how to do something, what's the first thing you're gonna do?
Google, YouTube.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So the answers to some of those excuses that people may bring, the answer is usually in their hand or in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? YouTube, you can learn everything from how to sew, fix a pan zipper to the basics of flying a helicopter. You know what I'm saying? And so definitely, if parents feel like they didn't get their foundation, or if they feel not as confident with taking their children's education into their hand, that's more the reason why it's important to link up with other like-minded families. But there are resources out here to where, if you rusty in algebra, it's some sites where you can get caught up for the free. It's a bunch of YouTube videos. And I mean, we even use some of those free resources in our curriculum, because if it's going to benefit us and it's right here, why wouldn't we use it? And that's kind of the point of thinking in a sovereign manner and keeping the university that is our mind sovereign. A big part of that is taking advantage of the resources that we may overlook and are right here, that we have in our hands every day. So I would encourage people to, if you feel like you may not be qualified, or you may have some struggles with educating your children, then yes, you may have to do some of that groundwork, but it's worth it. Because I mean, I just encourage people, think about the things that you don't like about your life or your job, and then you had to think, okay, so what am I setting up in my family's and my children's life to where they won't have these same problems? I tell my children all of the time, if we do this right, you'll never have a boss, unless you choose to go and have a boss because you're trying to learn from that specific person. When I was, at the college here, and I had work study students, that worked in my office and helped me, I used to tell them, please make me your last boss, in quotation marks, because I'm not in there necessarily bossing up on people, but what I am doing is giving game and trying to help save some of your time, if you listen to me, and create opportunities. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work to be done, but that this mindset and this value system that educating and putting on for our family is the top priority. I just really believe in that mission, and I know that there are immeasurable benefits to taking that approach.
It's good to know. I'm glad you covered that. So, any of you all who find this interview very interesting and engaging, if you want to invest or sponsor or be a part of the Sovereign University, definitely hit up Dr. Hero. I'm calling him Dr. Hero. You know what I'm saying? But
a lot of people call me Dr. Hero. I like to do the Dr. H on the play of, or the Professor H on the play of Professor X. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Just how he had his school for mutants, where, and he was doing the mind control. I'm on the sovereign mentality where I'm trying to get you to think sovereign. So yes, I go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Hey, since we're going down the rabbit hole, we're gonna jump on this red pill and break this reality. We know now, according to Stan Lee, that Professor X represented Martin Luther King and Magneto represented Malcolm X. And this is a fact. So now we know what that mutant gene is truly about, because there's something special about you Black and brown and copper people on the planet. You run faster, you jump higher, you're stronger, you're actually smarter too when you really put your mind together. I watched these children in an African village put a car together with no traditional means to build a vehicle. There's something special about you melanated people on this planet. Please believe it. Please know.
That's that sovereignty. That's the freedom of thought right there. They ain't never seen anything that begins to look like what they created, but they dug deep into their mind, into that ancestral DNA, and pulled that knowledge right on out and created something out of nothing.
That's the real magic. Don't let tell you that magic don't exist. It does. Your mind in itself is magical. You are a walking computer, just like Vision and WandaVision. That's you. All the stories that's hidden is telling you about your story with the Mind Stone. Come on, man. That's your pineal gland.
Yeah. and it's always some knowledge to be taken out, and a lot of time it's and I think it's designed so that it is trivialized or minimized by, let's throw it in a comic book or in a movie or something. But if you really on your sovereign thinking, you taking pieces apart and you dissecting things and you deciphering things, because once you really commit to having a sovereign mentality, you're gonna find a message in anything. It can be something as fun and whimsical as WandaVision, or it may not. But no matter what you're looking at, you're gonna find something, a piece that's gonna be able to resonate with you, and that you can take and apply to your life.
I like that. That's super dope. You remind me of Dr. Phil Valentine. He also said out of New York, he was like, you'll find my students because they'll be in the movie theaters with notepads and pens and pencils taking notes.
That's right. Yep. Yep. And I mean, definitely Dr. Valentine kind of, set the foundation to get a lot of us to even beginning to be brave enough to even begin to think in those terms, and now we're creating businesses in those terms and raising our families in those terms. And so, that the work that he does, that's immeasurable too, and definitely very important.
That's right. I like to give a personal shout out to also, great Bobby Hemmett too. as well as your Dr. Bing and Dr. Clark, you know what I'm saying, your Ivan Van Sertima, all them great griots, Dr. Azra Kwesi and his wife, Mira Kwesi. We talking about these are giants that stood tall from every aspect, the metaphysics to history, you know what I'm saying, to just basic spiritual knowledge, understanding, like you said, to break us free, to break our minds free so we could be more silent thinkers.
Right. And they're really responsible for a lot of the ideas that we kind of think is common knowledge or common, things. Just like I'm not, I think, I know you Mr. John Henry Clark, but I think about him and Dr. Ben, who, they were really some of the first ones to get attention and say, nah, these ancient Egyptians or melanated people, they called themselves Cometians, because Hollywood and the books and the schools and Egyptologists, would try to convince you that those were Europeans somehow, sitting on the northern tip of Africa.
Come on, man. I just don't. And they always often forget about the real Kemet, which started in the South. Everything starts in the South, on the south side of town, and it raised up to the north because that was the upper kingdom. The upper was lower, and the lower was upper. They started
now river flows. Yeah, that right now river flows north. We actually just talked about that. And so everything you're saying is really resonating with exactly where we are with sovereign. So for February, this is the Dominant Society Black History Month. But as you said, we live a Black history life. So, our greatness can be regulated to 1 month. And one thing I see that when we talk about Black history is really only African-American history or things that Black people have done under the power and the structure and the empire of the United States. But our greatness, spans way past that. And I really don't even put a lot of stock in a lot of these first Blacks. This is the first Black person to do this and the first Black doctor to get this, because I feel like that's further burying the knowledge of all of our greatness that was achieved before America was even a thing. And so for this February, here at the Homeschooling Cooperative, the first week of February, we talked about the Nubian Empire. And so the Kushite, that south where you're talking about that they were raised from. Then the second week, we moved on to talk about ancient Kemet. Last week, we just wrapped up speaking about the Moors and, how they're, moving into Europe, introduced a lot of the things that we take, for granted, shaving and hygiene and regular shaving and regular showering and things like that. And so, and then this upcoming week, we'll be talking about the transatlantic human trafficking trade. And so I wanted to be very specific that for this February, I didn't just talk about inventors who made things in America, because it's really supposed to be probably tens of thousands more who were robbed of their patents, but that's a whole different story. I want to, let us focus at, yes, we have some people in leadership power that, is really just Black faces on white power, but we have a history of kings and queens who not only, strategized and figured out how to conquer or win in battles, but they was out there swinging swords and, shooting arrows and out there fighting with them too. So it's that combination of, being able to strategize and plan and know what the problem is, but put in that action and do that work, like what we talk about with sovereign. So, really a lot of things that you were just talking about is really summed up, our last few weeks of instruction. And so everything you were saying is just, making, kind of really further reminding and encouraging me that, this work that I'm doing is definitely important.
It's definitely important. Let's also talk about, for a moment, you spoke about the Nile. I just want to touch on that and connect that together. Well, most people don't know the Nile and the Mississippi River flow the same way. They refer to this as the land of the East. They already knew it was here. We was here. Those temples built upon what they call the way lines or the chakras of the earth, whatever you want to refer to, energy centers, they are all aligned collectively around the whole planet. This is not by accident. No one did this with no stone rock, speaking no uber. Come
Right.
on, stop it.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a that's a disrespect to even try to insinuate as such. And because we actually have talked about the mound builders and how in the Americas is pyramids all up and down America. We actually have Cahokia mounds, which is like 20-30 minutes away from us. And when the weather breaks, we will be taking a trip so that they can say, okay, you remember those pyramids that we talked about when we talked about the ancient Commissions? Well, this is an extension of that, and this is their legacy on this land. Because have you thinking that they were great. Okay, maybe they were melanated people, but they just stayed right there and did that right there in that piece of Africa. But with a little bit of studying, you don't even have to dig that deep. You got pyramids in North America, Central America, South America, Mexico, and other places on the motherland.
That's right. You got pyramids in the water. You got pyramids upside down at an angle.
And then you just think like, how did they do that? But then that encourages me. That's like, okay, well, if they could do that, then I can figure out how to fire my job, commit myself to my family and my community, and make a living and have fun and love what I'm doing. Because if they built these pyramids, tens of 20 thousands of years ago, that still baffles even your best architect or engineer as far as how it was constructed. That just lets me know that I'm not going to put any type of limits on my abilities or what I can do either.
Absolutely. I just want to say this to add on that topic. It is also said throughout secret societies that, because I'm in Georgia and we have mounds here too, a lot of the rock that was quarried came from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's wild to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's putting in some work.
Sometimes, as you know, where we have to find the knowledge at, it's in other people's cultures.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you read about the KKK, Albert Pike, you got to get, like, as you know, you got to get deep into his story. You can't just say, oh, this person was allegedly leader of the Klan. You got to get into their knowledge, what they wrote to their people, those letters, those secret agendas that they were doing. Those are the knowledge. These people went in and got all of that. Your Washingtons, your Napoleon, even Champollion, that went into Africa and was like, these people are like gods. Look at this. And then if you look at some of the, like I was saying earlier, Benjamin Franklin, even he admitted to, oh my God, there's more what they call swarthy. These words, they're coded. Swarthy, Melungeon, more. You feel what I'm saying? All means, for those who don't know, black or melanated. They hid and all of that stuff. They wrote about us in their autobiographies.
Yeah. I mean, made it clear as day. You go back to some of that source material and you can see the truth. You're absolutely right. And it just it took me, just doing my due diligence of studying to figure that out. It's like, okay, yeah, I keep seeing this word swarthy. What are they talking about? What's that mean? I never heard nobody say that. And so, you do the knowledge on it, and it's like, oh. So now when I see that and I can put it with this other fact, then I can confirm that it was melanated people in this place on the globe at this time that we're speaking to. And, that's that sovereign mentality. You have to be able to, pull apart and take out everything that doesn't serve us and, cling to what does.
That's right. Yes. Dr. H, before we get up out of here, let's show some love to Danica Harrell. She also helped you co-found, Sovereign University. Let's show some love to that young lady too.
Yes. That's my wife, Denisha, and she definitely is a huge part of this. She definitely has her own, life purpose and mission in which she works with. She does birth work and is actually in school to be a doula. And, she's making it her, life mission and goals and purpose to do her part in decreasing some of these infant mortality rates that are ravaging melanated cities like St. Louis and, you know, Chicago and Kansas City. So yeah, she definitely a huge part. All the support that I need, you know, doing things with the, you know, helping out with the scholars and really just, you know, being that melanated woman backbone that, you know, anytime you see a brother doing their thing and it's really real, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's a melanated woman behind, you know, and I won't even say behind, I'm gonna say on the side, you know, putting in that work right along with them, keeping their mind right, keeping them from, you know what I'm saying, going off the ledge or, you know, going in on people or, and, you know, staying focused on the purpose. So definitely shout out to my wife because she plays all those roles and, you know, does all of that for me.
Shout out. Well, brother, a couple more things before we get up out of here. One out of the three things. Is there anything that we didn't speak about that you would like to address at this moment or give an understanding to the people?
Oh man, we covered a lot of ground. I mean, this is really, you know, a good experience, especially just like with your, you know, background and knowledge and being able to you know, really engage with my information. I appreciate it. I mean, really the only thing that I would want to reiterate is that you know, it's resources and it's options for prioritizing our family's education. And even if you're not going to work with Sovereign, there's other places that are bubbling up in cities around the country. But definitely feel free to reach out and have discussions with us because this is my life's work. This is what I'm doing. And it's extending a little more out than just the cooperative. We also have products and classes. We have a virtual painting class that's for Black History Month that'll be going on next Sunday. People can sign up at sovereignuniv.com for that. And we'll be doing more, you know, virtual classes and more offerings also for people in the local St. Louis and surrounding area community. But, you know, we'll be doing things for fundraising, other kind of educational, you know, products and tools, books for sale. We're working on some of our own branding and, you know, Sovereign University specific flashcards. One that the first one that'll be out will be the financial freedom flashcards, where it's really going to give a lot of knowledge on, you know, investing and just this whole mentality of being owners, taking ownership, having control, you know, of our finances and of our time, you know, which I feel like is one of the greatest resources that, you know, we have right now. So definitely a lot of things and extensions for 2021 from Sovereign University now that the, you know, homeschooling co-op is, you know, running on a consistent running, you know, like a well-oiled machine. We're going to branch out and to do some things so that I can work with other families who maybe their needs are not necessarily for the homeschooling co-op, but they still resonate with our message and our ideas. And so we definitely have a lot more things coming down the line this year to speak to those people.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Oh, my second thing before we get up out of here, I'll play a quick game with you because we understand that numbers are very important. You know, numerology is, if that's what you want to call it, esoteric knowledge, outside, inside, as above, so below, so within, as without. You know, all that great knowledge and great context. We're gonna play the game of sevens.
All right.
Now you know seven's a beautiful number. I mean, all the numbers are, but I really resonate with the number seven.
What's that number of completion?
Come on, we're playing craps. You know what I'm saying? Whether we're in church and we're in a religious or a spiritual understanding, that number seven can be found through all time and reality and different forms of it. Oh, yeah. And also, we know the seventh letter of the alphabet is G. G could be God, it could be Grand Architect, it could be, you know, multiple things. Mm-hmm. So with the game of sevens that we're about to play right now with Dr. H. Dr. H, you are tasked. This is your comic book. All right. You're going to find 7 individuals in real life that we're going to put into your comic book to be a part of your version of the Avengers or your version as the Justice League or just some super cool 7 people bonded together on this comic book so the little black babies and the older elders can discover and read about all of this knowledge that you're speaking of Sovereign University. Sovereign University is kind of like, the school for mutants, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you are that Dr. H. Which 7 people throughout all of time that you know of, living or dead, because you can resurrect them back onto the pages, who would you pick and why? Give us your 7.
All right, cool. I like this. All right, 7. So I'm gonna stay in my realm because my school, I'm looking for Avengers focused on, education and entrepreneurship. And so, all right, let's see. Let me start off with some ancestors. It would definitely probably be Fannie Lou Hammer, just for the work that she's done as far as educating and grassroots organizing and, just really shifting the mindset to say we can, do these things, or we have the power and the will and the know-how to do more than what we see. So I would say Fannie Lou Hamer. I would say definitely Malcolm X, as far as having that ability to, speak to the people who, that society has cast out, or, speak to the people who the operation of the dominant society, they don't fit into that mold. You know what I mean? I would also say Annie Malone, another ancestor, entrepreneur, definitely of great importance, being a St. Louis native, and definitely didn't like the way they did her in that Madam C.J. Walker movie, but that's not what this is about. But Annie Malone, I say to that ancestor, just as far as the entrepreneurship. John Meacham, another ancestor, St. Louis resonator, the educator who couldn't get his school going in St. Louis, and they giving him too many problems about the paperwork, or being fit, or I think of things like with accreditation. So he said, you know what, we gonna go and I'm gonna create a school on a boat, because that jurisdiction don't mean anything on the Mississippi River. So we got a brother on a boat, teaching, and that's sovereign thinking right there. That's the best example I can think of sovereign thinking, definitely in the realm of education. Oh, let's see, how many we had? We had 4.
Mm-hmm.
We had 4. Okay, so I got 3 more. Let's see. Mary Meacham, John Meacham wife. You know what I mean? Gotta have that counterpart. Let's see, who else? I'm gonna say somebody in my family. My grandma. I recently lost my grandmother in May of last year, and that was just one of my greatest supporters of my vision, encouragement. Like from that day one, when I'm talking about where we role playing the school in the living room, what I'm saying? She was my biggest supporter from there. So I definitely have to include her. And we had 2 more. Let's see. I gotta think. My Avengers in the realm of education and entrepreneurship. Let's see. Let's go with John Henry Clark, master educator. Got our whole mind right, about thinking about the way that we approach African studies. And then I'm going to say Dr. Amos Wilson for my last one. Master teacher, definitely focused on our children, and, keeping their minds sovereign and protecting them. And, he compiled and put together the Blueprint for Black Power. That's a book that I'd always recommend to anyone, and something that it's a lot it's a lot. So you had to approach it like a textbook. And, you know, when you studying a specific subject, you go and get what you need, because that book is massive, but it's a lot of game and information and a lot of, you know, what I do, who I am, and, you know, what I plan to do for the future. You know, I stand on the backs of all of those ancestors that I named. And so, you know, we give out many ashes for their legacy and, you know, for the work that they did and the foundation that they set. And, you know, I'm just working to make it my part to be a faithful descendant.
I like that. Beautifully said. Before I let you go, give us a quick drop. The name of the show is called My Celebrity Life, and I'm Ge Holla. Say it any kind of way you want. You could be like, I'm with Ge Holla on My Celebrity Life. I'm on My Celebrity Life with Ge Holla. It doesn't really matter. You can mix it up any kind of way you want. So, like I say, the name of the show is called My Celebrity Life, and I'm Ge Holla. Give us that quick drop before we get up out of here.
Yeah. My Celebrity Life with Ge Holla. You know what I'm saying? Some of the hotness, definitely keeping and bringing us together, spreading the good word, you know, sharing this knowledge, keeping us entertained, and, you know, doing things that's all going to help us build to reach our higher selves.
It is. Can't get no better than that. Hey, man, this is our hero right here. This is Dr. H, you know, that new version, that updated version, that correct version of Professor X. You see what I'm saying? Please make sure you tap in, link in, subscribe, follow, do what you got to do. Even, you know, if you got to go and learn something yourself too. Education doesn't have an expiration date on it. You know, no matter how old you are, you're never too young or old to learn something new or get a refresher. You just never know. Knowledge always updates itself. It never stays still. I never look at time as something linear, as a straight up and straight down arrow. You know, we live in a quantum loop forever. You know, the zero, back to another number, zero, there is no beginning or no end. Energy and matter is neither created nor destroyed. Melanin is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form. Something similar to, you all may know, as a caterpillar to a butterfly. A butterfly no longer worry about living a caterpillar life once it gets fly, and y'all can fly too as well. We definitely salute you, Dr. H. Salute your wife too as well. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. We'd love to have you back on later throughout the year, catch up with you, see what you got going on. And we salute you, King, and you keep shining from Sovereign University, from the Sovereign.
That's right. That's right. I appreciate you taking the time, and I would definitely love to tap back in with you as we continue to expand and do greater things.
Hey, you're always welcome here.
All right.
All right. Peace, my brother.
Peace, bro.